Hi people, this is Giada. I would like to talk about a linguistic expression that is used a lot of times in Italy. I think it is used also in English, but maybe less times. By the way, you know when we say something is unnatural or doing something is unnatural? For example, I have heard a lot of times here in Italy, homosexual relationships are unnatural, or not having children is unnatural, or to kill is unnatural. I would like to talk about this linguistic expression, not about all the issues and all the topics that are frequently introduced with this expression. I'm just talking about the linguistic expression because a lot of times I think that we take nature into the picture without no real reason. Like in this case, we say something is unnatural, so something is against nature, but we don't really think about what is against nature when we say that. The first thing that we have to ask ourselves is what is unnatural. If unnatural is simply something that goes against our way of thinking, against what we have always been taught, then yes, Christian could say that homosexual relationships are unnatural, because from their point of view, because of their religion, homosexual relationships are considered as unnatural. And then racists can say that a society in which black people and white people have the same rights is unnatural. Because, if natural is just something, it's just like a way of thinking, a general way of thinking of an environment, of a place, then yes, also, rich people that grew up only with rich people, with a lot of stereotypes on poor people, can say that poor people are like naturally bad people, and poor people can say, on the other hand, that rich people are naturally assholes. But the problem is that plenty of times when a person uses this linguistic expression, this person doesn't want to refer to his or her way of thinking, to his religious values or whatever. This person wants to refer to a natural law, a universal law. If a person says homosexual relationships are unnatural, this person, at least most of the times, is not saying, I think that from my point of view, for my, cultural mindset, I think that homosexual relationships are not a good thing. They are not normal. They are a bit creepy. Now, these people, when they say that, they want to say that homosexual relationships are against nature, are against a universal rule. And this is a bit problematic. In this case, yeah, the issue begins to be a bit problematic, because if we use the term unnatural to refer to something that is against nature, against natural laws, then we have to be careful. We can't use it plenty of times without thinking about that, because otherwise there is the risk to not be consistent to what we are saying. First of all, we have to define what's unnatural, or better, what is natural. What could be natural? Well, if we say natural, we are referring to nature, right? It is something that is about nature. I think that something is natural if it respects natural laws, but natural laws, the real ones, not religious or cultural laws, because cultural and religious laws are different. They are always different. They are different from times to times, and they are different like, I don't know, from place to place. On the other hand, the real natural laws, like, I don't know, the laws of chemistry, of mathematics, of physics, these laws are always the same whenever we are speaking of them and wherever we are speaking of them, right? So what could be unnatural? I don't know, like a fish who flies, or a fish who climbs a tree. These would be unnatural, because fishes, well, as far as I know, they are made to live in the water, and they don't have the abilities to fly or to climb a tree. Or I don't know, a stone that breathes. This is unnatural, because stones can't biologically breathe. Then on the other hand, I think also that by studying physics, mathematics, and whatever, we can also make something that is normally unnatural natural. For example, normally plastic and humans can't fly, but thanks to the invention of planes, both plastic and humans can fly, and planes are natural. We have invented planes because we have studied natural laws, and now, yeah, planes, I think they are natural, because if they wouldn't be natural, if they wouldn't respect natural laws, well, they wouldn't work. We would crash each time that we take a plane, So just let's take an example. Take an example to realize that the majority of times that we use this linguistic expression, doing something is unnatural or something is unnatural, we say no sense. Let's take the previous example, like homosexual relationships are unnatural. Well, why would they be unnatural? As far as I know, there isn't a physical or biological or natural law that prevents two men to be together, or that prevents two women from having sex together. And yeah, there are people that might say, yeah, but you can't procreate if you have homosexual relationships. And okay, that's okay. There are a lot of ways to procreate, but let's just say that, yeah, that it's not possible to procreate if you are in a homosexual relationship. But who decided that to have a relationship, to have a love relationship, you have to procreate? Religions, cultures, but not nature. Otherwise, nature would have obliged us to make children, and every time we have sex. Otherwise, nature wouldn't have allowed us to develop contraceptive methods, and otherwise, nature would have prevent biologically, physically, to people of the same sex from having sex together. But yeah, nature didn't do it. So if a person just keep saying that homosexual relationships are not natural, well, this person is not using the word natural, the word unnatural, in like to say something is against nature. They're just saying that from their point of view, because of their religious or cultural values or whatever, homosexual relationships are not acceptable or whatever. But they are not against nature, because nature allows them without any problem, And let's take another example, just to understand that we have to be careful when we use this linguistic expression. I have heard a lot of times to kill is unnatural. I would really like this sentence to be true, but it is not true, because unfortunately we can kill another person. Biologically, we can kill another person. Yeah, it's awful, it's terrific, but it is natural. We can't say that it is against nature, because there isn't a natural law that prevents us from killing another person. Maybe to kill is not human, it is inhuman, but this is another issue. This is another problem. And last example, I swear, I have heard a lot of times the sentence, it is not natural, it is unnatural for a woman not to have children and not to take care of them. Well, we can just reason in the same way as the previous examples. If a woman can have a child, can give birth to a child, it doesn't mean that she owes the child to nature. Because otherwise, nature would have made sure that women would be always pregnant. But a woman can decide if she wants to be pregnant or not. There isn't a natural law that obliges you to become pregnant. And at the same time, there isn't a biological or natural, or a rule of chemistry that obliges women to take care of their children. A woman can leave behind her children, her child or whatever. She can abandon him, or she can not take care of him. Just leave behind the moral judgments. We are just speaking about the word unnatural. Women are not tied with a rope to their children. There isn't a law, a natural law, that says, you woman, if you don't take care of your children, you will die, biologically die. So it is naturally possible to give birth to children, but not to take care of them. and maybe it's not a good thing from a moral point of view, from some religions point of view, but we can't say that it is not natural. We can't say that it is unnatural, because there isn't a law that prevents women from not taking care of their children. So, okay, that's all. I'm really done now. I would really like to know if also in other languages there is this linguistic expression. And yeah, sure, I would also love to know what do you think about the use that we make of this linguistic expression. So just write some comment below the video. And if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and see you soon, guys.